My name is Plante Josue, and I was born in 1996 in a place called Jawana in Gasabo. I was raised by a single mother. I was born in a family of two children. I'm the firstborn, and I did graduate in university in 2018 in Bachelor's of Management with concentration in Operations and Logistics Management. I actually started working when I was still in school. I started as a software engineer. That was my first job. Before then, I did some side hustles of having a business and being a freelancer in software engineering. Though it's something we thought ourselves, and then the university brought a program that helped us be better at it. So I did software engineering. After that, I was doing again designing the front end part of the software engineering, and after that, like 2.5 years later, that's when I resigned and then started working for myself. When I finished school, it wasn't actually the time I finished. When I did software engineering, by the time I was in school, and a little bit time afterwards, like 1 year afterwards, that was like 2.5 years period. And at some point, it started off as a challenge. I love challenges, so at some point it became boring, because at the end of the day, something that is challenging, it gets easier and easier as you go. So it didn't feel like it's fulfilling. I started looking at what can make my life more fulfilling, which came back to the family and the people I grew up with, friends and family. And then I went back to the community. We started Aflimba. Aflimba is a creative space for rural artisans that exists to improve and elevate the rural craftsmanship and elevate the lives of rural artisans. By the time we started, it was just me and my mom in late 2017. So what we do, we nurture the talents of young girls in rural communities. We start off by training them, like, in the first week of the training, really, they learn how to even take a scissor perfectly. So we take them through a 6 months of training, and at the end of that period, we take the top of the class. They join our production, which I'm still the creative director. I guide the designing process of the products we do, which are bags. By the way, we don't call them bags, we call them lean bags. So yeah, we wanted to give them a little bit of a hype. So after that, when we distribute our products in different channels, mainly we sell on our online store and all that. The inspiration about Aflimba came from who I am and where I grew up. As I said, I grew up in a rural area, and it was a community full of artisans who makes little or no money from their craft. Alongside, I had a strong woman, my mother, who was a tailor. When I looked around, and that time was like a community who makes little or no money from their craft. At some point, they didn't even think they can make money, like real money, from that craft. So when I started going in the cities, being in some different markets and exhibitions, I realized people are overpricing things. And then I was like, people in my hometown can do better. And then, apart from helping my mother, it became a community thing, and then I started recruiting different other women to join the cause and help them even get better and make a living out of it. When Aflimba started, what the main problem, well, I could put it in 3 categories. So it was the first problem was these people lack information on the trends. Second, they don't have access to the high-end market, or the people who can afford good products. So beside their neighborhood, they didn't have more things they can get. And then the third problem was the financing. Even though they knew what was trending and they had access to the market, they also don't have the financing to be capable to produce what they have to do. So Aflimba existed to solve those 3 problems. And then what we do when we bring people in production, we don't want them to also struggle again to go back to finding the market and then financing themselves. So we provide everything. We provide the whole space with machines and raw materials to use. They produce, and we get full-time jobs. They get salaries. So, and then Aflimba is in charge of selling the product. In 2019, that's when I hired the first person who we started working on bags. And then in 2020, that's when we initiated the part of training women who know nothing about sewing. And then by now we've had about like 4 cohorts, and each cohort has about like 20 students. So we've trained close to 100 people by now. So normally, at this point in time, the whole program is self-funded, and what I do to recruit the women to join the training, so we put out the announcement in the areas nearby, because for now we still have a small area we cover. So, and then people apply. When we get applications, we invite them for interviews, and then I go do interviews myself, learn from where they're struggling, understand what motivates them, and then we recruit the ones that can fit perfectly in the program. So what we really need at the start of the program, it's the person who has the passion for the craft, and at the same time who has the story that sounds like they need help. So we want to remind them how strong they are and give a life to the things they hope to be. So we start off from scratch. As I said at the beginning, the first course they have in the first week they join is to take a Caesar. So which means you come knowing nothing. Well, it's okay if you come knowing some few things, but we don't expect somebody to know things when they start. After the program, so people, as we mentioned, we give them certificates. So what happens later on, we have 3 sections. There are people who join our production, there are people who go in, who choose to go work in other companies, fashion houses, factories. So what we do with that, we give them recommendation, and sometimes if they need some verbal recommendation, we can even be there for them. And the third category is people who choose to be self-employed, get a machine and work for themselves. So what we do later on, every time they need help from us, we do follow up on it and then see the assistance we can provide. Though we can't provide everything, as for now we are limited on resources, but we do try to follow up on everyone and see how their life changed after they joined the program. When you see how their life started and how they are now by the time after they joined our program. Recently I was at the production and then I got to learn they have a fund. So they actually, like in Kinyarwanda we call it Ichimina. So they give every month they get paid. So there is somebody who gets to have more money in their Ichimina, and then
fund.
Yeah, in their collective fund, and then they get to use it for different purposes, like for bigger projects. If somebody maybe wants to buy like a kettle, a piece of land, like they can easily get it from there. So yeah, their lives has changed, but we still have a long way to go. So it's not enough. I would say we still have more to do, and I do hope that we get more capacity to even pay them more. So mostly when you look at what other programs are doing, they just give these women different skills, and most of the time it ends there, or even when they do products, they let them do the creative part of the process and the limited quality assurance processes. But what we wanted to do was to look at their weaknesses and remove them in their responsibilities, or like give it to them a little bit less and focus on what their strengths are, which are the craft, and then the creative process and the selling, it becomes ours. So but when you go back to the products we do, you would see the craftsmanship on it. So we also didn't want to do those products that normally people come and say, in a way, be like, okay, oh, you do made in Rwanda, in a way of saying it's not a good quality. Like there is that stereotype. There is that stereotype about people not trying to go further when they are doing made in Rwanda products. So we wanted to do products that can be world class. So that's where we are. And when you get to take a look at our products, you'll notice that. And most of the times when we go to exhibitions, most of the people come to us and be like, okay, are these really made in Rwanda, or you just import them and add some little things, and then people are shocked when we show them the whole process of making all the products. In 2022, which is last year, we decided to also go into how we can, beyond the people who works with Aflimba, how can we make it that every product that is sold, it has an impact. So that's when we started looking into what can be done, and then we landed on one of the least eco-friendly fabrics, which with our denims, and it happened to be one of the popular products that are used on a global market. And we decided to at least elongate their lives, and that's where we started correcting them. So in Kigali, there are women, normally from low-income households, who move around town collecting clothes people no longer wear and see if they can find a market for them. So what we did was, because most of the time they take them to a place called Kimisagara, and then that's where they try to sell them. So what we did, we have an agent at Kimisagara who works with those women, and when they bring clothes from different places, they know we collect jeans from them. So they choose jeans, they remove jeans out of them, and they bring them to us, and we pay them. So that's how we get the jeans we use on the products. Aflimba specializes, like our niche products are just bags of different types and function, from backpacks to tote bags to duffel bags, laptop bags, laptop sleeves, pouches. So different types of bags. So we have a whole variety of bags, but it's just bags. And most of the raw materials, we get them, we have different suppliers in Kigali, but some of the ones we can't get in Kigali, we import them mostly from East Africa and China. We haven't started exporting yet, like in bigger quantities, but we've tested the markets in Tanzania and Kenya at this point in time. Other customers we have from abroad are just the people who come and buy locally, like the tourists or expats who takes the products abroad. But for the markets in Tanzania, we've done one exhibition in Tanzania. In June, that's when we did an exhibition in Tanzania. And in Kenya, we sent few products to test the market. So we are still testing the market. We haven't really gone deeper into selling more products there. So that's how the current started phase. The whole inventory took to Dar es Salaam in the exhibition. It finished before the exhibition time. So I would say the reception of the products was good, and we hope to go back with more products. So this is one of the bags. We call it messenger limb bag. It's one of the types we have for laptops, for people who like laptop bags. And inside, as you can see, it's made with a kitenge fabric. It has different pockets inside. You have one that has a zipper, another one doesn't have a zipper. And then when you look in the front, we also have other pockets. Like this one as well. So yeah, we try to give it multiple options on how people can put their stuff, their things. And yeah, so this is it. This is one of them. So we also have smaller bags to carry your small equipments. For guys like me, you can put your phone, your wallet, if you don't like to put things in your pockets, your charger. But for women, you can also use it for makeup and other items. So it's just a pouch, you know, like it's simple as it is. And this is it. For women who like to simplify their lives, we also have something for you. And it's a tote bag, and we made it for you guys, for you women. And when you look inside, it also has a kitenge fabric inside. When you look on the side, we also have like a side pocket that you can put smaller items, like money, and move on with your life. One of the things we do, we work with corporates to make their corporate gifts, bags of course, and in one case we do work with companies that chose to look at the bags that are in our catalog already, and we also work with companies that chose to have their custom bags made. So one of the bags we made for LAU was it was a custom made with colors and options and branding, all that. We also work with a number of other companies. This is one of the backpacks we have. We call it the Aflimba. The name was derived from the normal sacks that used to be bags back then. And it has a laptop pocket inside, and on the side it has like different pockets you can use for your water bottles, and you also have other side pockets you can put your little thing in it, and then you close it and you're good on your trip. Yes. People will ask you what do you define as success to you? So for me, what success is standing in the middle of a big warehouse, surrounded by strong women who are sewing those bags, making them every day. Not just at the moment we have 8 people in production, so I think we still have a long way to go in getting hundreds and thousands. So for me, that's where I am to, and then I hope that by that time we're going to be able to recycle tons and tons of different textile materials. So for me, what I would say to the young people out there who want to live a life with a bigger meaning is, it's not going to be easy. It's not a suggestible easy life, but it's worth it. So if you have an idea, go for it. Go for it and go hard every day. If it makes you happy, at the end of the day, after a long period of time, you look back and see how far you've come. It will be much better than just sitting there and doing a few Excel sheets.